Hello, welcome you all in third day of this online workshop on corrosion and its control, arranged by Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Engineering Management and Research, Akkudi, Pune, in association with B.S. Abdur Rahman Crescent Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. My today's topic is corrosion and its measurement. These are the contents of my presentation. First, we go through the basics of corrosion. Then we go through one example, that is Delhi iron pillar. Then we go through the different corrosion measurement techniques. So basically, what is corrosion? So corrosion is nothing but when a metal come in contact with corrosive atmosphere, it makes the electrochemical reactions, and because of that electrochemical reaction, there will be destruction of material takes place. That is called as what? Corrosion. The another definition of corrosion is when the low carbon steels corrode in most of the atmospheric environments when the relative humidity exceeds 60%. Generally, mild steel or low carbon steel, they are prone to the corrosion. So when they come in contact with atmosphere which are having the relative humidity exceeding 60%, then the corrosion starts. So in this corrosion, there are basic two reactions are there, that is oxidation reaction and reduction reaction. So this oxidation reaction means there is a loss of electrons and that takes place at the anode side, and the reduction reaction, that means there is a gain of electrons and that takes place at the cathode side. So these are the basic reactions, electrochemical reactions for this corrosion. So that also depends upon whether it is availability of H plus ions, if the acid solution will with dissolved oxygen, and the basic neutral with dissolved solution. So these are the general reactions responsible for corrosion. Then one of the best example of this corrosion resistant uh, material used in this Delhi iron pillar. So this is a well-known example of corrosion resistant material used in India. So the iron pillar in India was manufactured by the forge welding of piece of wrought iron. So this is manufactured by wrought iron. So what is wrought iron? So wrought iron is nothing but it contains the very less percentage of carbon, below 0.08% of carbon. And as this wrought iron contains very less percentage of carbon, it is easy to weld, it is ductile, malleable, and it is tough in nature. So that's why the wrought iron is used. So R. Balsubramaniam of the IIT Kanpur explains how the pillar's resistance to corrosion is due to passive protective film at the iron rust interface. The presence of second phase particles, that is slag and unreduced iron oxides in the microstructure of the iron, that of high amount of phosphorus in the metal, and the alternate wetting and drying existing under atmospheric conditions are the three main factors in the three-stage formation of that protective passive film. And that's why this iron pillar is not yet corroded. It contains more percentage of phosphorus is there. It contains slag and unreduced iron oxides at the metal interface of iron and rust surface, and that's why it does not get corroded yet. It is the best example of corrosion resistant material in Delhi iron pillars. Then we are going towards this corrosion measurement techniques. So first method to measure the corrosion is what? Weight loss method. This is a very simple method. Just you have to take the weight of your component before that component come in contact with corrosive atmosphere, and after it get contacted with corrosive atmosphere, you have to measure the weight. So for that, this formula is there. So always this, mostly the corrosion rate is measured in this MPY. So MPY stands here miles per year. So the formula is that MPY is equal to 534W divided by DAT. So here W stands for the weight loss in milligram. So whatever weight loss is there when that component come in contact with corrosive atmosphere, the rust will be formed on that component, and because of formation of rust, the weight of component gets reduced. So that weight loss in milligram you have to measure. Then D stands for density of specimen in gram per centimeter cube. Then A stands for area of specimen in square inch, and T stands for the exposure time. So up to how much time you expose that component to that corrosive atmosphere in hours, that you have to mention. So by using these parameters, you have to put in this formula, and you are getting the corrosion rate in miles per year. That is the unit to measure the corrosion rate. And 534 is the constant. 534 is the constant number. So this is the basic method, that is to measure the corrosion rate, that is weight loss method. Then next important and widely used method is Tafel polarization technique. It is standardized as per the ASTM G374. So in this Tafel polarization technique, the polarization curves are obtained by applying potential of plus minus 250 millivolt with respect to the open circuit potential. So resulting Tafel plots contain anodic and cathodic branches. So to conduct this Tafel polarization technique, we have to use one potentiostat. Generally, Gamry software is used to plot this particular Tafel plot. Okay, so this is the first you have to make the electrochemical cell. First, you have to make the electrochemical cell. So you have to take one beaker. In that beaker, you have to pour 100 ml distilled water. In that 100 ml distilled water, you have to add the 3.5 gram of NaCl salt that you have to add, and you have to stir it continuously. So as it mixes properly, that is your 3.5 weight% NaCl solution. So that is our corrosive medium for testing. So 3.5 weight% NaCl solution is the corrosive medium for testing the sample. So in that, this is beaker. In that, this 3.5 weight% corrosive, this NaCl solution is there. In that, you have to add this your working electrode. So working electrode is what? Nothing but your sample, mild steel sample. So that is, the grade is AISI 1020. That stands for, it contains the plain carbon steel with 0.2% carbon. So working electrode is your sample. Then you have to take the counter electrode. So counter electrodes are generally used as a platinum, then graphite, then you can use mixed metal oxide electrode. So that act as a what? Counter electrode. And the middle one is, this one is reference electrode. So this is saturated calomel electrode. That act as a what? A reference electrode. So these three are important. This is called as what? Electrochemical cell. Okay. So this is the actual Gamry potentiostat. So this is the Gamry potentiostat instrument, 1000 capacity. So that is connected with this PC. So it having inbuilt software to test the this Tafel plot. Okay. So this is the cable. So there are total 6 cables are there. One out of this, one cable is attached to the working electrode, that is your mild steel. And their working sense is attached to that pin. Second, third pin is attached to the platinum electrode, that is counter electrode and working sense. Fourth pin is attached to the working sense, and this fifth pin is attached to the what? This saturated calomel electrode, that is reference, and sixth cable is attached to the ground. Okay, and that is connected with this potentiostat. Then with the help of this potentiostat, we are having the software. So in that software, you have to input the data for this generating the Tafel plot. So what inputs are required in this Tafel? So Tafel is having potentiostatic method and galvanostatic method. So in that Tafel, you have to input the initial potential and final potential. So generally initial potential is taken as minus 0.25 volt and final potential is taken as plus 0.25 volt. Then we have to add what is the sample area you are taking, then what is the density of the sample, then what is the equivalent weight of the sample, and what is that you have to add in that particular entry data to conduct this TAFL plot. Then after putting this data in the software starts. Again, you have to add this initial delay time, that is 1800 seconds to conduct this TAFL plot. So when you enter this data, you can run the TAFL test. So it automatically starts this TAFL curve plotting in the software. And at the end, you are getting this type of curve. Okay. So it is a graph of what this on y-axis electrode potential versus saturated calomel electrode in Holt, and on x-axis that is log current density. It is a log current density in milliampere per centimeter square. So for this potential, so when it is goes toward the positive side, that means it is a noble. That means there is more corrosion resistance. And when the potential is going towards negative side, that means it is more active. That means it is prone to the corrosion. Okay. So this TAFL plot is nothing but it is a plot of electrode potential versus SC to the what? Log current density. So you are getting these two particular plots. So this upper curve with increasing potential, that indicates the anodic branch. That is called as what? Anodic shift. And this below curve line, that indicates the what? Cathodic branch. So potential is decreasing towards the negative side. That is called as what? Cathodic branch. So at this anodic branch, there will be what? Oxidation reaction is there. There is a loss of electrons. And in this cathodic branch, there will be their gain of electrons. There is gain of electron and there is a liberation of hydrogen. So these are the two plots, that is anodic plot and this is a cathodic plot in this TAFL. Then to find out the corrosion rate, we require this TAFL slope, that is beta I for anodic branch, and this is a slope of this particular cathodic branch, that is called as what? Beta C. So software automatically measure these particular values of beta and beta C for this measuring the corrosion rate. Okay. So after getting this particular this anodic plot and cathodic plot, after the given input time, you are getting the TAFL plot. Okay. So after that, you have to plot the tangent to this particular anodic branch. So this dotted line is what? Nothing but tangent to this particular anodic plot. So this is a tangent to the anodic plot, and this dotted line is the tangent to the cathodic plot. Okay. So when these two lines intersect at one point, that point is important. So from that point, you can find out the ECOR and ICOR values. Okay. So ECOR, when you go towards the y-axis, you are getting the ECOR value. ECOR stands for corrosion potential. And from here, you are getting ICOR value, that is corrosion current density, that you are getting. Okay. And from that, software automatically calculate the corrosion current. So ECOR and ICOR are important. Okay. So ECOR should be more positive. If ECOR should be more positive, that means the coating is intact, the corrosion resistance will be higher. And the current density is, when it is shorter, that means it increases the corrosion resistance. Okay. So in this way, you are getting the TAFL plot. Okay. So this is the actual TAFL plot we are getting from this Camry software. So this is what this potential versus saturated calomel electrode, and x-axis what? Current density. Okay. So these are the different TAFL plots for different materials. So this blue one is for low carbon steel. This one is for this epoxy paint, epoxy coated low carbon steel. This is for fusion bonded epoxy coating, and this is for fusion bonded epoxy coating, and this is for polyaniline coating. So these are the different plots. So as you've seen here, this low carbon steel material having more corrosion rate. So here in this graph, this polyaniline material having less corrosion rate. So as the corrosion rate increases, that means that material is having less corrosion resistance. Okay. So with the help of this TAFL plot, you can find out the corrosion rate, you can find out ECOR, ICOR values, and with the help of ECOR, ICOR values, you can get the corrosion rate of that material. Lesser the corrosion rate, better will be the material as a corrosion resistant material. Okay, so this is the TAFL plot. Then the next corrosion measurement technique is what? Electrochemical impedance spectroscopy. So this is another technique most widely used in research, like research of batteries. They are using this electrochemical impedance spectroscopy and corrosion also. Electrochemical impedance spectroscopy has been widely used as a tool together with surface analysis to investigate the protecting properties of organic coating for metal. The standards for electrochemical impedance spectroscopy are ASTM D01, 27, 32, and these ISO standards are there, and ASTM B117, and their standardized parameters are given in table. Okay, so what is impedance? So you know that what is resistance. In Ohm's law, V is equal to IR. So resistance is equal to potential upon current. But in that resistance, we considering the direct current. But here in impedance, we are considering here alternating current. That is the only difference. Okay, so impedance is nothing but the voltage, that is alternating current voltage and alternating current that will be considered. Okay, that is the impedance. So for this electrochemical impedance spectroscopy, again you have to use the same software, that is Gamry software, and the potentiostat is used. So these are the some input parameters required for this conducting the electrochemical impedance spectroscopy. In short, it is called as what? EIS. So initial frequency is 100 kilohertz, final frequency is 0.01 hertz, points per decade 10, AC voltage that is 10 millivolt, DC voltage is 0, initial delay is 3600 second, and method is potentiostatic. Okay, so this is the electrochemical impedance spectroscope. So from that we are getting the values of impedance. So higher will be the impedance, better will be the coatings. Okay, by using this electrochemical impedance spectroscopy, long time corrosion protection of the material can be predicted. So during electrochemical impedance spectroscopy, Bode plots and Nyquist plots are obtained. So when you run this sample with these previous parameters, we are getting the two outputs. One is what? One you are getting the Bode plot. Second one, this one is Nyquist plot. Okay. So from this Bode plot, that is a impedance versus frequency on log scale. So impedance versus frequency graph is there. And here in Nyquist plot, that is real impedance versus this imaginary impedance. Imaginary impedance versus real impedance. So what you are getting from this Bode plot? So from Bode plot, you are getting the impedance values. What is the impedance of that whatever coating you are applying on the base metal? So higher will be the impedance, better will be the coating properties. Lesser is the impedance values, poor will be the coating properties. Again, you are getting the graph of phase angle versus frequency from this Bode plot. Then from this Nyquist plot, that is the real impedance, and this on y-axis there is imaginary impedance is there, negative. Okay, so you are getting this type of semicircles, so that you have to fit into the circuits. Some circuits are there in the softwares, Randall circuit. Okay, so this is a resistance, this is a capacitance, both are arranged in parallel manner. So when you put this circuit, you are getting different parameters, like what is coating resistance, what is solution resistance, what is the charge transfer resistance, double layer capacitance. So all these values you are getting, and from that values you can predict the behavior of corrosion. Generally, when the impedance values will be more and capacitance values are less, then that coating will be better. Okay, so capacitance values required should be lesser, and impedance value should be more. Okay, so these are the what Bode and Nyquist plots. So that decides the behavior of corrosion of that material. So this is the Bode plot. So on this impedance is there, and x-axis frequency is there. So these are the different. So this blue one is for 0-hour immersion. Then this red one is 24-hour immersion. So at different immersion hours, what is the impedance values? Okay. So from this value, you are getting the impedance value. So higher the impedance, better will be the corrosion resistance. Like that, you can correlate this Bode plot. Okay. Then third corrosion measurement technique is what? This atomic absorption spectrometer. This is a direct measurement of what? Ion loss. That is specifically used to measure the ion loss. So whatever experiment we conduct in Cambridge, in that beaker, we taken the 3.58% NaCl. So after completion of this experiment, we are getting some iron particles in that 3.58% NaCl. So from that 3.58% NaCl, you can directly measure the iron content in that solution. It is a direct method to find out the corrosion rate. So whatever iron content is there, that can be measured with the help of this atomic absorption spectrometer. Okay. So this atomic absorption spectrometer that works on the principle of this Lambert-Spear's law. So absorbance of the material is directly proportional to the path length. Okay. So here your sample is there, then there is a nebulizer is there. So this nebulizer sucks this particular sample of whatever iron particles are there, and the flame will be generated. Okay. So here that particular whatever element you are selecting, it is we are selecting here iron element, because you have to measure what is the iron content in that 3.58% NaCl solution. So that lamp you have to select. So that waves will be passing through this particular frame, and it detects the what is the iron content in that particular solution. Okay. So whatever iron content is there, from that you can predict the corrosion. So lesser the iron content, that means there will be less corrosion of that material. Higher the iron content, then there will be the more corrosion. So that iron loss is measured in ppm. So lesser the iron content in the solution, less will be the corrosion. Higher is the iron content in the solution, more will be the corrosion. So this is the atomic absorption spectrometer. From that you can find out the iron content in the solution. That is a direct method to measure the corrosion. Okay. Then there are different mechanical testing of paints are there. So we are applying the different paints, epoxy, fusion bonded epoxy, different types of paints you are applying. So you can do the mechanical testing of these paints. So these are some, I enlist this particular different methods, that is scratch hardness test, then Tabor abrasion test, impact test, pull-off adhesion test, UV weathering test. So these are the tests to conduct the properties of your coating on your basement. So these are the mechanical testings. Thank you. So this is my presentation based on the corrosion measurement techniques. If you are having problem, you can mail me on this email ID.